Good morning, good afternoon, and good whatever time it is. My name's Trevor Lerit, coming straight from my basement. You may know me from Treb Talks. This is definitely another version of Treb Talks, and we'll go on the Treb Talks Spotify, YouTube, and everything else. But this is going to be a new series I'm going to call Trevantine, maybe something else. I haven't really nailed down a title, but I think this is something that's going to be pretty good for the moment. But what I'm planning on doing is just having a quarantine kind of podcast. As we all know, the coronavirus has been going around and it's been affecting a lot of people. So it's just been an experience, and I think right now, since we're basically living history, I think right now is a great time to do such a thing, have such a podcast, a video, just basically going off of how the coronavirus is impacting and harming an 18-year-old senior in high school. So, just to introduce this podcast a little bit, these will be a little shorter, not as these long 2 hour 3 hour podcasts that I've been doing, but more of something that's like a campfire talk. So we'll explore all the topics daily regarding the coronavirus. We're going to go from an expansive amount of topics, coming from spring sports being canceled, will prom be canceled, will graduation be canceled, and whatever comes up, how it's affecting us, and especially someone like me and my friends. Um, so this episode and these other episodes will be more of how we're going to start doing everything and how it's just affecting me. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Trevor Lerit. I have a YouTube channel called Trevor L Films. I am a young filmmaker, photographer, podcaster, whatever you would like to say. I am 18. I am about to go to college pretty soon. I'm in my last semester of high school right now, and I go to um, yeah, go to school. Not very much anymore because school kind of got canceled, but it's whatever. I'm into broadcasting and media and such. Right now, this is kind of an extension of my broadcasting class. Since we are not allowed to continue school in school, I am doing this as my broadcasting project. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm just doing a daily podcast, talk show about how the coronavirus is affecting high schoolers. So let me introduce this podcast a little bit. Every day I'm thinking about doing three different things. One being what's going on today, so major headlines, what's going on and how it's affecting me. What I'm doing today, because I feel like that's going to be something interesting to definitely talk about, because if we are quarantined or we're supposed to limit contact, we can't go out and do the things that we've normally been doing. And three, how it's impacting me, or what's the topic of discussion. So for today's podcast, we are going to be discussing when I knew that this corona thing became real, and what moment did I realize that this is an actual problem, kind of a threat that we need to uh, be aware of, and be a little more serious. So first off, sorry for this little low budget setup. I got two studio lights here and a soundboard. I'm going to be intertwining some interviews or audio memos I got from some of my other classmates and friends. Maybe get some friends in here, I don't know, depending on how the situation is. But yeah, I also have a middle part right now. I never have a middle part. I kind of did it as a joke. I just got back from a camping trip or a cabin trip, and I did it on accident, and now it won't go away. So that's happening. So let's go right into this first area of discussion, and that being what's going on today. What are the major headlines? And I've seen a couple headlines. These are all coming from the New York Times. And the first one being that hospitals are filling up and they're running low on ventilators. Basically, they are filling up beds, and this is the curve thing, the flatten the curve. So what's happening is hospitals are having more people come in, filling up these beds that these more severe and serious cases of corona could be going through. So it's our goal basically to flatten that curve, make sure there are less people in these hospitals, and the only people that are going to the hospital should be the ones that are actually in danger and severely need it. People that have the mild cases of pneumonia or very flu-like symptoms and stuff like that. So that's why everyone's trying to practice this idea of social distancing, which is something, as you can see, I'm kind of doing right now. I also saw that the Wall Street's basically still in the dumps. I'm not going to actually word for word, read these headlines. I'm just going to give you an abbreviated one, just like the top headlines of today. Today also being Wednesday, March 18th. New York is in prospect for shelter in place, so meaning that their residents can't leave their house and they are supposed to stay home. The US and Canada now agree to shut off their borders for non-essential traffic, which is huge for travel. I know I have one of my friends, they were down in Mexico, and they are still in Mexico, and they will be down there for a while because of Corona. They aren't allowed to travel back into the country, and he's living it up. He's literally taking pictures by the pool, and I'm kind of jealous of that. Trump's administration is requesting $500 billion for direct payments to Americans as a part of a $1 trillion plan. I find this very interesting. This is definitely a topic of discussion because I've seen lots of people bashing both sides, especially the Trump administration for hating like Bernie Sanders and or Andrew Yang, someone that wants a universal basic income, and then to bring in say this Republican Party where they are trying to give out payments because one, people are losing jobs, two, the stock market's crashing, and then that the Trump administration is trying to do something about it right now. I find that interesting how both sides are kind of coming together, but really they are also hating each other at the same time. I know with everything that's going on with the coronavirus and how it's impacting everyone, that is huge. And, I just find that really interesting that we're requesting money right now. So now I'm going to play one of our first interviews I have. This is coming from my friend Madison Galbert. She is a part of the KNET, or our daily broadcast at our school that we go to. And this is just what she's going through about Corona and how it's affecting her. So let me swap on over to her.
Hey Trevor, it's Madison. So basically, my whole experience so far on our break is that I've been sick for like 3 weeks now. And so I was like, well, since so many like the symptoms and stuff are being released and they're like being mixed up with other sicknesses and stuff, I was like, well, maybe I should go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and it turns out I'm fine. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of being blown out of proportion, but it's always good to be like tested for stuff like that. I mean, also staying home could also help, but like I think it's really helping. All of the like celebrities and stuff on social media are spreading it around to stay home, and I think that's really starting to convince people to actually stay home. Like I stayed home yesterday, and that's the only day I've been home like all day. So, but whenever I ask people like if they want to hang out, they're like, "No, my parents won't let me leave." So, I think it's starting to like actually take effect in people. So, people are actually starting to stay home. So, maybe our whole nation won't have to go on a whole lockdown, and I think we can slow the curve quicker than maybe some of the other countries that have been going through this. I'm not sure. So, that's all my shoot.
So I'm gonna end it right there. She had a little bit of rough ending, but I understand. I'm just happy that she sent in something. But yeah, Madison, I definitely agree with that. I hope that we don't get to a point where we have to shut down the country, or just shut down having to leave our houses, because I am not an indoors person, and personally I feel like if that was the case, I would go insane. I know a lot of things have been closing, and that's been affecting me a lot. So like the gym I go to every day, that closed, so I've been going to my friend's house and working out there. It's just been a whole whirlwind. I'm also glad that you're not sick. That's great to hear. Even though corona doesn't affect us in our age range as much as it does the older people, I think it's still a good thing not to get corona and then spread it on to your family and friends. And that just comes with the social distancing, like being able to separate ourselves without getting too far out of touch. In my opinion, I feel like we are living in a time where we are in the perfect place technologically to be in a situation like this, compared to like in 1918 with the Spanish flu that they started shutting everything down. I have no clue how they like filled their time, because we have Netflix, Hulu, video games, podcasts. We have the entire internet. We can learn anything in the world and like just stay home. But just back then, I don't know what people would do. Read, uh play cards maybe, I don't know. But I'm definitely glad to say that we are living in today and not back then. And I think this goes into why many people should be quarantining themselves a little more than what they really are because we have the ability to, even though it might not be the thing that we want to do. So let's go to the second segment of today's podcast, and that's what I'm doing. So this is a little verbal log of what I've done today. So I woke up this morning around 7:30, which is pretty late for me. I usually wake up at 5:30 and go to the gym, but the gym's closed, so that's whatever. I made breakfast, a couple of eggs, some yogurt. Um, Cleaned my room. I just got back from a cabin trip, and that was a lot of fun. But I decided it was time to clean my room, clean my bathroom, made sure everything's good. With all this free time I'm having, I can clean and make things nice and neat. Then I went to my friend Emily's house, and then Emily, and Bryn, we all went out on a little run. Then I went down to her basement and lifted. Luckily, I'm blessed with having such great friends that allowed me to, use their gyms. She has like a rack and everything that I can like use and just lift weights with rather than having to use like a suitcase or something. I know one of the Instagram bodybuilders I follow, he started lifting at home with a suitcase filled with like rice and stuff, which that was an interesting thing. I don't know if I could do that. I'm just glad I can go to her house and then lift weights there. Then I started recording this podcast, and I think later today I'm just going to start watching a lot of movies. I think that will definitely be the trend I'm going to follow. After I got home yesterday, I watched Goodfellas. That was a really good movie. In my opinion, it's not as good as like the other Scorsese film, Casino. I really liked Casino a lot more. In my opinion, there was just a lot more action. Or even The Irishman. Even though The Irishman was like 12 days long, it was still a lot of fun action going on. Also, I don't know if this middle part's going to stay. But yeah, so now I say it's time to get to like the meat and potatoes of this podcast and get to the segment on how it's impacting me. And today's segment is when I knew things got real. So at the beginning of the year when we got back from school, I thought Corona was just like a little thing. Like we all saw it on the news and we're just like, whatever. It was only in China, it wasn't in the US, and nothing was happening. And me being a KNET kid, KNET is our daily broadcast at the school I go to. And I'm one of the main anchors there, and I like to the anchor, and speak to my school. I feel like it's my opportunity and I guess obligation to tell the news. So when Corona was getting around, I started reporting on it pretty early. Whenever there was like only 100 people dying, and not a lot of people were dying at the time. So it was like, oh, 100 people are dead now, 106 people are dead now, and then it was like, holy cow, 1,000 people are dead now, and it just kept escalating. But at the time we didn't think it was really serious because it was only happening in China and not happening in the United States. So we kept reporting on it, kept reporting on the death rates going into when it started getting into the states. So talking about when it got to the coast, when it got down to Florida, and then whenever it just kept going. I know a lot of my classmates were very worried about what was going on. They were discussing how they would handle the situation, what they would do, and just like how they feel about it. But at the time we didn't think much of it, and we just kept going on with our daily lives, touching our faces, high-fiving everyone. And then once they got into Lawrence, Kansas, I think that's when everyone got really nervous. So there was a case, or I think there was like a potential case in Lawrence, Kansas, and some guy started getting tested. This person also worked at the University of Kansas and Lawrence. So a lot of my friends that were at the high school I went to, that went to KU, got really nervous and they started freaking out because they were on a campus where Corona might be. And then it just kind of blew over. He tested negative, I believe. He was just sick. And then I feel like everything just kind of stopped, and then Corona kept happening, but like it wasn't a huge thing impacting us. And then I think the day it got super real, and the day Corona felt like it was affecting and impacting me, was the day that the NBA shut down. So I've been a huge basketball fan like all my life. Actually, up here you can't see it. I have a Golden State Warriors like piece of art. I don't know how do you call it. It's just like a bunch of blocks that make up the Warrior sign. I'll put a picture in or whatever. And once the NBA got canceled after Rudy Gobert got the coronavirus, I thought, wow, something for real just happened. And it was just dominoes after the NBA closed, the NHL closed, the MLB closed. At first, everything was postponed, and I feel like things are just going to keep getting canceled. And then Tom Brady went to the Bucks, but that's another story for another day. But it's just insane to think that the National Basketball League, something that right now would be a great thing to have where I can just watch basketball all day stopped because of all the corona coming through. And at first I thought it was crazy whenever like the Italians and their soccer, they were playing in empty soccer fields and soccer stadiums. Like that made sense. But I guess once players started getting it and they started infecting other people, that's when they had to stop it. So shutting off all sports events seems really strange to me, especially whenever like the finals are coming up, the NBA finals. Like, what's going to happen with that? Who's going to play? March Madness was supposed to be happening like right now. What happens now? Who knows? And it's just astonishing to think that the world's kind of stopping for this sickness, and we don't know what's going to happen. Um, I know the last day of school I had, because we were going into spring break this week. Today is my like third day. What's today? Wednesday? Yeah, it's like Wednesday of my spring break. And I know our last day was on Thursday. We had a half day, and all my teachers and all my coaches and stuff were joking about the coronavirus. So it all started with my calculus teacher. He said, "Oh man, I'm going to start preparing for online classes because I don't know if we're going to go back to school." And in class, everyone was like, "Whatever, man. We're going to be back in school. No one's going to think anything of it." And then lo and behold, while we were on break, I think on Saturday or Sunday, we get a message, an email from the superintendent from the district saying that we are not going back to school until April 6th. Today is March 18th. Wow, we are going to have 2 weeks of online schooling, and I'm either going to go crazy or learn a lot because online schooling is not my jam. I'd rather be in school, be in class, learning and taking tests than sitting at home on the computer trying to understand something when I can't physically talk to someone. I'm an in-person person, and not being able to connect and talk to people, that really makes it rough. And then later that day, we were with the tennis coach. We were playing tennis practice. Excuse me. And one of the coaches said, as a joke, he's not as a joke, but he was kind of serious. He was like, "This is my hot take," and he was like, "I don't think we'll go back to school after spring break. I think we're going to have an extended break." And we all thought that was ridiculous. And guess what? We have an extended break. So I find that interesting because with school being shut down until April 6th, what happens? Because like calculus, okay, I guess I can learn that at home. It would be tough, but I can learn that. My second hour AP Lit, I can read at home. That's not a big deal. Do I want to read at home? Not really. But will I have to do it? Of course. My third hour, I have broadcasting. So, I mean, I'm kind of broadcasting right now. So, I guess that makes up for it. Fourth hour is broadcasting too. My fifth hour is physics. Good Lord. If I wasn't lost in physics before, I'm going to be even more lost right now. So, whatever happens, happens, I guess. My weight training class, I don't know how I'm going to. How do you grade weights at home? I can't just send him a video. I guess I could have sent him a video of me working out, but like not everyone has that luxury of having a friend that has a gym. Like how are normal people going to handle the situation? My seventh hour photography, if we're quarantined, we're not even allowed to go to school. It doesn't make sense to make us go out in the city to take pictures. So I don't know how that's going to work. I guess we can just take pictures at our house. But even then, I don't know. I know once they probably called off school for the next 2 weeks, a lot of our teachers had to stop at break, and now they're just trying to lesson plan and figure out how to continue their school year and continue their schooling throughout the rest of the time. And it's just weird to think that we're not going back to school potentially. Um, so then spring break came, and now we're chilling. It's Wednesday. I haven't had school in a while, and it's nice to just sit back, relax. I've been actually since Saturday all the way until Tuesday, yesterday. I was at a cabin down in Table Rock Lake, uh, and it was just me and a bunch of my friends, and we had the best time. We had a nice little cabin, secluded away from everyone. We went fishing. We got airsoft guns. We started shooting each other. We watched a lot of movies, played a lot of cards, and it was just a nice bonding experience because there's nothing to worry about. But it was so much fun. It went like this, and even though I didn't want to, because I was just low key vibing, I was just having a good time. you got to step back into reality every once in a while, and now we're back into reality, and it's a tough one. I know the second I got back, I went on a run, and it was like usually I see people out and about, but it was quiet. Like the neighborhoods were deathly quiet, and that is so strange to me. Growing up in the same neighborhood all my life, it's it's weird because there's always people out in the streets, but not anymore. Um, so yeah, we while we were down in this cabin, we were just chilling, and like we kept seeing the news because of course we had internet and we had the ability to like call people, and we saw a lot of memes about this, but we saw the news that we weren't going to school until April 6th. We were all kind of cheered, we were all happy about it. And then we started seeing other news like Kevin Durant testing positive. I guess that was going to happen eventually because he was playing in the NBA where other people got sick. But I think the news that hit me the hardest was when I was in the hot tub. It was late one night, and I see a KC TV5 or TV9 article, KMNBC, I don't know, some news article that said all bars, theaters, and restaurants will be closed for the next 2 weeks. That's tough because I work at a restaurant inside a movie theater and I don't have a job anymore. I work at Johnny's Jazz Bar and Grill, at the Liberty B&B 12 movie theater, and to think that since I don't have a job anymore, I don't know what I'm going to do. Even though I kind of requested off this entire week because it's spring break, I, it's crazy to think because when we were driving back, we got a call from our boss. Me and my friend Austin, we both worked there, and our boss told us that we aren't going to work anymore and we won't have a job until April, which I'm glad we still have the job when we go back, if we ever go back in the next month. But to think that I don't have a job anymore is eye opening, because it's like what am I going to do? How am I going to fill my time? How am I going to get money? I just won't have money for a while because if everything like that is getting closed, what are you going to do? So yeah, that I think that was the moment that I knew this thing really got real is whenever my boss called me. Um, so yeah, we got home. We got a call from the boss. I also called into the gym that I go to, and they said that they are closed because of COVID-19. And it's just like, what do I do now? Because every morning I go wake up, I'll go to the gym, get a lift, and then continue my day. But now I can't even work out. People say not to leave my house. It's like I don't know what to do anymore, and you know, it's just a lot going on. And since school's going to come back next week, it's going to be crazy. I know Kansas right here, they said that they are not going back to school until the end of the year, and that leads me into, is Missouri going to do the same thing? We're right next to each other. Why wouldn't we do the same thing? And if we do the same thing and we don't go back to school, that means we have like 2 months of online school. And how does that work? Because we got AP test, we got finals, we got everything, we got all this stuff. How are we going to do all this testing? How are we going to continue school? I know we'll figure out a way. It's just I can't wrap my mind around it right now, especially being at the age I am. I'm a senior in high school. I was going to have my senior prom this year. I was going to have my senior tennis season this year. I was we're going to do our telethon for KNET. We had so much get canceled on us that it's just what goes on now. So it's just kind of we're sitting ducks until we figure out what's happening, and then we just play it day by day. So I had another interview here from my friend Megan Hammond. She is once again another KNETer. She also did debate for a little bit, so she is pretty knowledgeable about topics like this. So we'll give the floor to Megan.
My current thoughts on the coronavirus is that people need to be just the right amount concerned and not panicked, which I think is something that we are running into now, where people are stockpiling on toilet paper and things of that nature, absolutely wiping out the supermarket shelves, which is obviously not good for people who need certain things to support their family, like mothers running out of baby wipes and things of that sort. I think a part of that concern is kind of taking more caution, and as much as it sucks, and I can speak firsthand about that, like, I was not able to go to my best friend's house last night. I can't go thrifting with my friend today because everyone's parents are concerned about the coronavirus. We do need to understand that in order to have public safety, be optimized, we have to give up some personal freedoms. But I think as of right now, people just really need to focus on listening to medical professionals instead of social media outlets and Facebook moms, essentially. It would be best because you're getting factual information instead of falsehoods that are being spread around. And those are my current thoughts on the coronavirus as of right now.
And I would definitely agree with you, Megan. I think it's ridiculous that everyone went out to the store and bought all the toilet paper that they can. I know that we went to the store yesterday and we couldn't find any toilet paper, so it's like, what happens now? Get a bidet? Take a shower every time you use the bathroom? What goes on? And I definitely agree with you. I think there's something that has to go with the psyche about that, and that's when life comes out of control that we need to grasp something. And if we grasp something such as toilet paper, then we feel like we're in control of this scenario, even though we really aren't. And I think that's just the way that many people are going to control and take care of this situation. I find it interesting that all the meats, cereals are all still at the grocery stores, but things such as cereal isn't, or sorry, not cereal, canned soup isn't. Basically everything that the preppers would be like thriving over. So I find that very fascinating on how that has impacted us. And yeah, I would definitely agree. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Also, guys, I appreciate these two call-ins, I guess you could say. Feel free if you are watching to send in some more stuff. My email's out there, trevorlerit@gmail.com. Just email me an audio file and I'll play it on here, and then I just get your thoughts and stuff. This is more like an NPR style thing that involves just a personality that's going to be me talking about how Corona is impacting a 18-year-old senior in high school. So those are pretty much all my thoughts on what I was thinking when things got real. Tomorrow's episode might cover other topics such as spring sports being canceled and just what other news is happening. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. I want to keep doing this, and even if no one really listens, this is a great audio log and something great historians can look back on, especially to see the different point of views in different ways. The coronavirus, something that literally is history right now that we're living, is impacting each and every one of us. So tomorrow the set might look different. I don't know. I'm trying a different style of recording right now. But yeah, that's basically the way it is, guys. And stay safe. This has been an episode of Trev Talks, a sub-series called Trevantine. So that's been part one. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys tomorrow.